being recorded.
Okay, welcome everyone to the May 10th, 2022 edition of the MicroProfile live Hangout. And a link to the meeting minutes is in the chat, so please click on that and add your name to the list of attendees. And let me go ahead and share the screen. It is everyone's shared responsibility to take notes, so please do. For today's call, okay, I think this is it here. Oh, there we go. Two things I wanted to talk about is the status according to the program plan. And let me close out of this one here. And the second thing is continuing along the technical discussion around the roadmap, because we haven't, let me move my mic over, sorry. We haven't quite hit the roadmap for the remainder of this year, and that will also influence the roadmap for next year, depending when we can deliver releases. Okay, sorry. Let me, sorry about this. Quick pause. I am going to make Emily a co-host, so if I miss people joining, she can admit them. All right, there we go. Now, all right, so getting to the program plan status, what I did is kind of take the same approach to what we did last year. So you can see the link here in the meeting minutes. I created basically a Kanban board for issues, and I went through and I created an issue, if one didn't already exist, for each of the bullet points. I haven't assigned names yet. I was just going to go by our traditional list of who runs the topics during the call. And I was going to assign names. I just didn't want it to happen out of nowhere before I gave people a heads up, right? So I just took the default template to do, in progress, and done are the three stages, right? And each bullet or each issue is assigned basically the program plan tag and then any other tags related to where it falls in the program plan, right? Is it a strategic goal, a marketing goal, a community outreach goal? So these tags already existed except for strategic. I had to create that one. And then all of the bullets are there. Now I do know that specific teams like the marketing team may have already created issues in the marketing GitHub repo, and others may have as well. And just feel free to update these GitHub issues with linking off to the actual repo issue, right?
Consider it done, John. That's a great idea. And I did see that the tickets come in, and I thought that's so fantastic. So thanks for doing things that we should have done in February.
Yeah, and we actually took this approach for the 2021 plan. And so one of the things I want to do is go through and review the 2021 plan because there's still some outstanding issues that haven't been resolved. In some cases, those issues actually just continued into 2022 because the issue was, the goal was just pushed into 2022 in some cases for, 2021 program plan that didn't get finished into the 2022. In that case, I just changed the milestone to the 2022 program plan. So I just updated it to point to 2022. Let's see. And now, as it relates to going over each individual program plan status item, let me see if I had, I thought I had a slide here on that. Hold on. No, that's not it. Oh, here we go. I think I did it this way. Okay, there we go. I don't know if I was, if I'm going to go through necessarily, obviously, all these bullets, because I really want to spend more time on the roadmap, right? Because we need to nail that down if we attempt to get a release done this summer, right? So as it relates to the strategic goals, I'll just do kind of a brief overview in terms of where I think we are. And then maybe next meeting, we can go through another one. In fact, let me try it this way. Instead of doing it through the slide deck, let's actually try and use the GitHub issues. Just because I'm kind of curious here as to how this works out. Strategic. Oh, sorry. I think I had to do search by label. Oh, filter cards. I thought there was a label : strategic. There we go. All right. So deliver 3 MicroProfile releases. This is not going to happen this year, right? It's pretty clear. My goal right now, I think, is to get 2 done. I'm hoping we can get 1 done this summer. And again, we're going to be talking about this, and then 1 in the fall, so that we can get back to our 3 releases next year. Okay, so we can talk about that in a minute. So I think that's where we are in terms of delivering 3. So here's a question, I guess, for Paul. If we know we're not going to make a program plan goal, what does that mean? Do we have to go back and update the plan? Does that require a vote, or we just kind of acknowledge it?
Just acknowledge it in your minutes.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah, the next steering committee, maybe we'll do that. Right.
It was your objective, but for reasons as they played out, wasn't achievable.
Yeah, and part of that, not entirely, but part of it, I think, is due to the shifting of Jakarta EE10. I think we were hoping to deliver a EE10 this summer, and it is what it is.
And possibly if you choose to do a retrospective later in the year, then that would be something to think about. An objective you didn't meet, and then you factor that into your next year's program plan.
Okay, yeah. We also have the MicroProfile Champions program, and this is one of those cases where it's both a strategic goal and a marketing goal, right? So I don't necessarily have a 20-second status on that. Amelia or someone else have like a very brief update?
Yes. So this is about welcoming new contributors and also thanking the global community. We are doing both at the same time and continue to do so. However, last year we did say that we don't do a good job on communicating via Git issues, tracking those efforts. And I think we need to bring more transparency on the kind of work that is going under scenes to enable, microprofilers to not only.
Sorry, Amelia, just looking for status.
Yeah. So it's ongoing as usual, and we just need to do better at creating the Git issues so that it's more transparency. Okay.
And I think after I go through and begin assigning names to these, if people that are kind of assigned to these tickets can update the status, right? In progress, done, right? Just move it as it is, as needed based on the status. This one I assigned to me, continued Jakarta EE collaboration through CN4J. So Will and I did have some emails go back and forth. I'm going to ping Will later today. I was on the working group call, the Jakarta working group call today, and it kind of was like, oh yeah, we need to kind of talk about this. So I'm going to set up a meeting for the CN4J. Will and I will in an off week of the Jakarta EE working group meeting. Steering committee meeting.
This ties quite closely with today's Jakarta EE core. One area need to improve is works collaborate better with the MicroProfile by CN4J. So I think that's the kind of both community have this thing to look at.
Yep. And maybe I missed adding a community tag here as well, because I think those are closely aligned. Strength of the MicroProfile brand. This is a fairly abstract strategic goal, but we do have, through the marketing team, efforts to do this. So I don't know if marketing has a quick 20-second update.
Part of this is creating the compatibility page, which is going to be launched on Friday, and it's going to be welcoming feedback, but it's going to be public. We have spent the last month and a half 90% of the calls have been spent on tackling this, so that it's clear how we communicate through the website and make the communication on what is microprofiling, what is compatible, and all this, who are the members and things like this. So this is all part of one of the topics.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Increase the number of MicroProfile working group members, committers, and just opportunities for participation. We haven't been very aggressive. I'll just comment on this one briefly. We haven't been very aggressive about attracting new working group members, right? And I would think that a good approach to addressing this might be to talk with some of the Jakarta working group members, right? And gauge their interest in being more active in MicroProfile, joining as a specifically, I guess, or as a member, as well as the working group. Sorry, I didn't mean working group, as well as user groups, right? Can continue to attract working groups. User groups. We're gonna have to tackle that one. Maintain and grow community participation in marketing. Amelia?
Yes, this one, we have the Stewards program that is about handing the project to different microprofilers throughout the year. And that is ongoing. We have Mitya coming on board and taking over next month. And that is voluntary. It's just jump in and document. We have many microprofilers documenting the information, but the point is that for newcomers to jump in, it's complicated because not everyone is so confident to be able to fail publicly. MicroProfile works openly, so it takes a few tries and joining and asking privately before anyone is willing to fail publicly. And it takes grooming, and we're working on it. And clearly those are things done in private because we have to protect those microprofilers.
Okay, and if you need examples of failing publicly, just point them to me. Right, just say, right?
Yeah,
so, I mean,
yes.
It is what it is, right?
And all of us are like this. We are not going to go private just because we want contributors to come in and they understand and they love it.
Right.
They feel very welcome. It's just grooming, and it takes private, and there are no tickets that can be created. It needs to be private, and they need to do it on their own time.
Yeah, what I would like us to do for all of these, we're going through these pretty quickly, is when I go through and kind of assign assignees, and anyone that wants to contribute can also assign themselves, right? Is to get more specific about the status, right? How many new marketing people have we attracted, right? So dig a little bit deeper. And then the next time we go around, we'll have more detail. Okay.
Use Excel sheets. John, my recommendation is to use Excel sheets and go by quarter. We have the program plan forecast, and we can add a tab there that says by quarter how many contributors we added in marketing and technical, and you just keep it honest. We use the forecasts for budget and planning, and we can add a tab, and that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, in that case, we would want to add a link to the issue off to the spreadsheet.
I can help with that.
David?
I was going to say, I mean, I don't know that we want, it's fine if there's actual data to track, but in terms of like high level stats, I do think that there is benefit of just mentioning what you were saying, John. Just this quarter, we got 5 new people, you know, give the executive stats right there. Because when it comes to the end of the year, we're not going to want to look in 20 different spreadsheets to figure out what the status is of all these different issues. We're going to want to be able to just kind of look at the issue and say, all right, that's where we got to.
Yeah, oops, agreed. Formalize the role and potential support for committer representative. Right, so I know Edwin created the Google Doc with kind of roles and responsibilities for committer based on his experience, right? That we can use as a template for others going forward. Any other thoughts on this briefly?
I think we should assign this one to Edwin. Edwin and I work on that document and he did a fantastic job. However, there are many things that he would like to apply, like we did surveys and we did a bunch of things. But there are some things that he has in mind he has not shared. So we need to give him the opportunity to do so. MicroProfile doesn't have a committed rep at the moment. So should we vote on something that will be empty? And, we need to, I think, start thinking on launching a new election, maybe next month. That is for the steering committee to decide, should we do this, or the entire community. I think it's an important topic and it's worth, we have the information now on what to do. And Edwin is willing to speak to anyone privately about this, but it is something that, we need his support for.
Yeah, my gut is also that trying to start up a new election, right, to find volunteers is a good idea to revisit. I don't know if Paul, if you have, or Tanya, if you have any thoughts about that, about kind of taking another crack at that.
I'll let Tanya comment on that one.
Or just to make sure, to community representative, is that the topic?
Well, yeah, so we currently do not have one, and we
Yeah.
ran an election earlier in the year, and basically we didn't have any volunteers. So we were kind of wanting to take a second attempt at it. But
I can share with you what we did with Jakarta. So what we did is there was an interest from someone to fill that spot. And we thought it would be inappropriate to just kind of accept anyone without the election. So we ran the election with the understanding that they would be serving for the remainder of the calendar year. So it's not going to be a full term serving, but for the remainder of the calendar year. So you can run the elections at the same time for everyone. So, and that worked out well with us, for us.
yeah, we'll have to look. We should send out another feeler, Amelia, for potential, candidates that would like to run. I'd hate to kind of formalize it before we have at least one or two people that are interested in doing it.
Right. So that's what I would exactly. That's what I would recommend. If you see that there is a potential interest, then you run the election, and it will be fairly straightforward to maybe motivate others to raise their hands as well.
Okay.
So John, how about I have an update on next community call. Let me do some background privately. I would like to take this one on.
Okay, the next one, grow the number of compatible implementations. That's going to kind of come along with the discussions of talking to existing Jakarta members that might be interested in joining MicroProfile as well. Okay. I think that's the best opportunity for that. And Paul, I'll probably take this offline and chat with you about maybe some ways to go about that. Encourage more innovation with new specifications. I think that one's self-explanatory. We've got open telemetry as an example of that. So individual component specification pages. This is kind of along with the website update. And this is the last bullet before we really get into the roadmap. So Amelia, do you have a very brief update, or Emily, because I know you're doing the site meetings as well.
Go ahead, Emily.
Yeah, so it's basically it's a few of us, including Cesar, Summers, and Andrew. So we kind of working on to improve the project page. So that's ongoing. So it's basically now we create a branch, and we just trying to do some prototype and move forward.
I think we're missing an an item, because there's two different ones. There's one task which we want to have an individual page per specification version with the links to the spec on it, like there is on jakarta.ee/specifications. The additional item is that we want to actually replace there are project, like sites for each individual specification that are currently written in like GitHub, in Groovy. That's a totally different task.
And you know what? I might have inadvertently, I thought, is that actually, did I mislabel that as a strategic one? I might have mislabeled that one.
They were both part of our plan. So I think
Well, it's in the plan. I just don't know if it's a strategic goal.
Oh,
I think I might have.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, I think I mislabeled that one in my. I was kind of I was on a roll, right? And then I realized I kept putting everything in strategic. I had to go back and kind of remove a few of them. So I apologize for this one.
Is that one even in a strategic goal, or is it just something we're working on?
I think it's Yeah, it's under marketing. Right here. So that hits your point, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because there's one for having a page, which here you can download the PDF and so on and so forth, and then there's another one to make basically project sites for the individual specifications.
Right. Okay. So I'll remove this. I'm not logged in on this browser, so I can't do it right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I usually use a different browser for my day-to-day activities. Okay, so oops, I'm gonna keep that open, I guess. That's really all I have for kind of a status update. And I think next call, maybe what we'll do is go over the either the community or the technical goals, or both, depending on how much time we have. Okay. For now, let's switch over to the release plans about what to do for the remainder of this year. And I think Emily, here's the Google group. The question is, do we do an incremental release, I think, first, and then go to MicroProfile 6.0, or do we do MicroProfile 6.0 right out, as our next release, and then maybe try and squeeze in an incremental release near the end of the calendar year? Emily?
I think I would go with the incremental release first, because we can't do it right now. And also it's like MicroProfile 6, we have to wait at the end of June, because the release date moved towards the end of June. So, and then also we need to wait for compatible implementation. So with that, at least we know we have incremental release. We can under our full control. So it's at least one release is secured. And then once the Jakarta E10 released, we can just go on to do more preparation for the 6.0. So it's for the 5.1, also discussed internally and etc. So also I was involved in the open API discussion, and it looks like JWT is already got a release candidate. Open API is nearly there, and also that we are running very fast with MicroProfile telemetry. So I think with this, if we hit for end of June, July time, so we can get that released. And then in the MicroProfile 6, we just align with Jakarta E10. So we could even get it in October release. In that case, next year, as you said, John, we want to do 3 releases per year. At least I think for the 6.0, we could do as soon as October or November time, not pushing to December. But again, also depend on the Jakarta EE10. So for the EE10 alignment, there's two options. One is kind of we just do alignment. And there is on the umbrella, we say, okay, it's Java 11. The spec can choose to stay with Java 8. There's another kind of the thing is, the other thing is, I don't know why it's not rendered correctly. So I have been deleting and reposting. Use this spreadsheet is better. So it's the other option is we do kind of the basically force all the spec to move up from 8 to 11. So which means is kind of all the spec need to do the major release and at the same time to align with the Jakarta EE10. So both option, just like we'll get open tracing removed and telemetry will be in. But in the 5.1, so both the telemetry and open tracing will be in. And also this week we in the telemetry spec team. So we discussed like we already came up with a proposal how to do this opt-in like a solution. I think last time David came up with a good reasoning to see is kind of the like there's too much magic. So it's basically immediately without doing anything, you got your all the trees created, etc. So it's basically, I think with this conscious, I will say conscious opt-in approach, I think it will make the ecosystem between open tracing and telemetry can work together. Maybe is in a more harmony kind of state, and then more conversation will happen. Like maybe is the implementation details, whether any implementation we want to support the scenario one application want to have both switched on. Like they have two trees. They have open tracing, generating tracing or telemetry generating trees. So we discuss them more in the technical call and also in the telemetry call, and we come up with some ideas and etc. So I think, yeah, that's a big summary for this release. But with this, at least we can get 2 releases at least this year.
I don't know. Anyone have any comments? Roberto, Dimitri, or Ed? Martin?
I would
Jan?
have a comment. When we do a 5.1 release, then we might have an open tracing release that contains that deprecation mark and contains an opt-out option, so we can switch it off and you can switch on telemetry instead in a concrete use case. And maybe we should add in the middle column that removed means removed from the platform.
Yeah, good point. Mark for removal from the platform release. So basically they will be standalone. Yeah.
And another point from the last week's discussion, if the Jakarta EE10 release will come on June, end of June, maybe to have implementers still support MicroProfile, there must be a 6.0 release soon after. So there's, from my point of view, a potential that we might have at least an earlier 6.0 release. Maybe it may on the same day as the 5.1 release.
Yeah, if there's a compatible implementation, I think it's kind of whenever there's a ready and then release it. So yeah, I think it's kind of could do the release maybe in September if there's a compatible implementation.
Yeah,
So the
all
one
of
question-
these plans, so sorry, all of these plans depend on a compatible implementation, of course. And somebody says, must say, yeah, I will do that.
Yeah, but for 5.1, I know, yeah, I will volunteer to use OpenLiberty. I know we have this is up to date message. For the 6.0, don't know yet because the spec has not even been released.
Yeah, so go ahead, Roberto.
As I mentioned on the technical call, and I believe that David did propose that as well, my preference will be to have a release that's only focused on the Jakarta 10 alignment and fixes the issues that it currently have. We also have a couple other issues that we need to fix. Remember the Herculean stuff that I mentioned in one of the mailing lists a few weeks ago. I will prefer to just have, since Jakarta 10 is just right out, or it's going to be really soon, I will prefer to do that first and then only add new features on top of that once we fix all the stuff regarding Jakarta 10 plus the Herculean things and some other bug that we may have.
So which means like the change, like you guess, basically is some CDI issues. So that could be put in 5.01. So basically it's do all the change and get them done in the 5.1.
Not exactly, because you do have to update dependencies for Jakarta 10, and that requires you to update MicroProfile to a major version, in my opinion.
But if it's rely on the Jakarta E10, I don't see you need to do a pre-release for Jakarta 10, and then you do another release for Jakarta 10. So why is not like this is a direct direct consequences for aligning with Jakarta 10? Why we need 2 releases?
I don't want 2 releases. I just want 1 release with all the fixes and the alignment for Jakarta 10. At least that will be my preference. And I don't know how everyone wants to handle that, but in my opinion, since we will have to update the parent POM for MicroProfile for major versions of CDI, JSONB, JAX-RS, and so on and so forth, that will require also a major version of MicroProfile.
So you are talking about okay, let's talk about one thing first. So are we having issue with the 5.1? So the content wise?
Yes, because my proposal is not on that order. My proposal is just to switch the order. You have like a 6.0 with as is, with everything as is, so you don't bump any major version of any spec. You just update them for Jakarta 10 compatibility and fix the issues. And then you do a 6.1 with major changes on JOT, OpenAPI, or whatever other spec that you want.
Okay, so with that scenario, I'm trying again. I'm looking at roadmap, right, in terms of release timeframes. So would that be like something if we were to do a 6.0 with all the fixes? That would be something we could do by August or September, and who would be the compatible implementation?
Of course, it's all subject to for Jakarta to be able to release on time, right? Because then we'll be dependent on them. But considering that they are almost done, then we will be able to use either Quarkus or Wildfly as a compatible implementation and small Y for all of that, because we're doing the work to upgrade or to update both Quarkus and Wildfly for Jakarta 10. I just feel that we don't have enough bandwidth to do all the updates for Jakarta plus additional changes on top of each spec. So that's why I will prefer to have one version of MicroProfile which allows you to run with Jakarta 10 with limited changes on the fixes, and then add new APIs, new features, whatever after all of that is done.
So that would, so that's focusing on more in terms of resource efficiency, which is, and that's fine, right? What that would mean is, I mean, probably pragmatically, I'm gonna throw out like, is that like a September timeframe if we were to take that approach? Do you think? Assuming
Maybe.
June.
I will say realistically October. And when I
Okay.
say realistically October, because we know historically July and August, they are summertime, right? So there's not much things happening. Of course, some work will be done, and maybe we'll have a nice surprise and be able to done that on September. But realistically, I will always say when we are in May, close to June, I always say just put it on October because summertime is always tricky.
So what this would mean is one release this year, right? If we went straight. And again, I know I'm, you know, focused a bit on optics, right? Which may not necessarily be the best priority, but you know, folks looking outside looking at MicroProfile, you know, the optics might not look as good, given we used to have 3 per year, right? So here's a question: if we were to do a 5.1, who would implement it besides Open Liberty? I don't know if anyone from Oracle or Tommy Tribe on the call have thoughts on whether or not they would be interested in doing a 5.1, or would they basically wait for a 6.0? The silence is deafening.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken on that a few times. I was just maybe wondering if any from Oracle wanted to go first, but we're doing our JavaX to Jakarta change in source now. We're largely done with that. We're currently upgrading all of our MicroProfile stuff. You know, for us to aim at what's on the page for 5.1 is doable, except for the open telemetry stuff. That would probably be difficult for us to add one more spec, to be honest.
So a 5.1 would be doable with the potential exception of open telemetry.
Yeah, because we're basically catching up from MicroProfile 2.
Right.
So we're upgrading implementations at the moment. Adding a new implementation would be kind of difficult for us to choke down, you know, just to be honest. So whatever is in the pre-Jakarta EE10 bucket is going into the version we're working on now, which is Tommy 9. Tommy 10 will be that column C, whatever it contains.
Right.
Yeah, I think they need to balance, like if we say, I think it's one thing is we need to make the community seen. We are innovating. If okay, we just add a couple of things in the spec and say, okay, we do a release. So we don't really want to do kind of the release for the sake of release. We want to make sure that developers are excited about it. I think the other thing is kind of we do a release, so this is release, and then continue to 6.0. It's more like for the implementations, they don't have to implement all of the versions, so they can choose which version is more strategic for them. So that's fine. So in the middle of the release, we just continue for on. The other thing is that I feel like if we like say, okay, let's just like focus on EE10 alignment from outside world, we say what a MicroProfile is doing. Okay, last year we did a 5.0. It's pretty much is all the alignment. And this year, if we just focus on alignment again, I don't know what message we want to send to the customers. Is it feel like okay, we are all busy, spend a lot of time just doing alignment. So I think is if we come up with this kind of the new things, so get the community vibrate, and then we move forward with the Jakarta EE10. I just feel like it's a time for us to do something, and then like doing alignment. Is alignment shouldn't be the only thing we should focus on right now. Besides, it's not time. It's not released yet.
Do we want to just take everything that's in B and C, merge it together and call that 6.0, and it comes out when it comes out?
What do you mean?
Well,
oh, B1, you mean B1 and B2?
Yeah, you're talking columns versus options.
Yeah, sorry, I was talking about columns. Yes, not C and D, but B and C.
Oh, you mean the B and C?
Right. So the so the idea would be that if we did it, that we would have a MicroProfile 6 with some very exciting things to write about. We could say it's got updates to JWT and Open API. We could either drop or deprecate open tracing. We could say there's a brand new specification and it aligns with Jakarta EE10. So that would be like headline worthy stuff. I wouldn't worry about us looking slow with a release like that.
So for this one, like if we so that means pretty much probably we will just have one releases this year.
Right, but I don't think the number matters so much as content.
Yeah, the other thing is that I'm worried about is if we say we must do Jakarta EE10 alignment, so it's if there's no just to say there's no candidate or passed all the TCKs, all the MicroProfile TCKs, and etc. And then is there a risk we couldn't release it?
Possibly, but it sounds like Roberto has communicated that October is a reasonable time frame for them, and I know they're
for Jakarta alignment without any additional change.
Oh, okay.
That was the proposal, and let me remind people about something else, which is right now we don't have a runtime with 10 that's able to run all the TCKs and pass them on MicroProfile, because we know for a fact that some TCK tests they just don't run on 10, be it by configuration reasons, be it by some other. I don't want to go into technical details. That's not the point. But the thing here, the thing is, once Jakarta 10 is out, no runtime that runs the Jakarta 10 is able to claim compatibility with MicroProfile, because the TCKs simply don't run, or simply you can't pass all the tests because of those issues. So that's why I think that we should make a release that fix those issues, so we can at least get those out of the way, and for Jakarta 10 runtimes, for them to be able to run the TCKs and pass them with a Jakarta 10 runtime.
So
and the way to do it is to make it as quick as possible. That's why I'm saying to not include additional changes to the other specs. Try to make it as quick as possible.
Okay.
That gets
So-
back to it being a service release and not even necessarily a dot release or a.
Well, yeah, not necessarily, because we did discuss on the technical call Tuesday that we would need to be changing tests
Oh, yeah, it is.
significantly.
So I will see that is still alignment because you still like need to change the dependencies. So I think with the uncertainty and etc., I think we should just get a 5.1 auto away. And then is kind of the next one is kind of once the E10 is out, and we should just get started doing all the kind of TCK changes with the E10 alignment. Is just keep on saying, okay, without any other changes. Obviously, you have to change the dependency to be the Jakarta E10. And then
Well, when I say no other changes is not mixing fixes and updates to dependencies to new features, right?
Yeah, is there a link to this spreadsheet so I could type in what I'm hearing and because it sounds like something I could agree with, but I would want to type it in so.
I'm pasting it in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Zoom.
So it's kind of so I feel kind of we just need to just get things that like shipped into a release and then at the same time and working on others. I just I think if we again, I think I'm repeating myself. We shouldn't just centralize it. We just focus this year. We just I can look at what John you shared all the program plan strategic goal. I don't think this plan just have a E10 alignment fix any satisfy any program plans.
Well, we already know we're not going to make it, right? We're not going to deliver 3. So
yeah, but a new invitation. But if you can't deliver 3, maybe you deliver 1. But with this plan, at least we can deliver 1 or maybe 2. And the other thing is innovation. We can at least get this. Is if we say, okay, we don't know when to deliver, and then people will lose the focus. Maybe it's okay. I don't know when you deliver. That's this shit.
So
No,
hold on. I really want to
go
get
ahead.
input from someone from Oracle about what their thoughts are. You know, what would they want to target in terms of release? All right. So
Ed on mute.
Yep.
Ed on mute. Let him talk, I think.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead, Ed.
we're currently working on MicroProfile 5. That's what our next Helena version will contain. And then it'll probably be another release another year before we update. And we're sort of waiting for what will be available next, in next summer timeframe.
Okay.
And I guess personally, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how things shake out with the core profile. It doesn't mean core profile needs to be in release next summer, but I guess we look forward to at some point being able to pick that up as a unit instead of just the grab bag of dependencies that we currently have to fill in.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Ed. All right. So I'm trying to figure out now. We're not going to come to a decision right now, right? 7 minutes. We've been talking about this for quite a while. Is the right approach to solidify the options, whether it's B, C, D columns? Sorry, I'm just going by columns, or a consolidation of B and C, and vote. Or do we think we can, through another hour of discussion next week, come to a conclusion?
I think that having more discussion is not going to help. I think that we've been discussing this for a while now, and no one was able to change anyone's mind. So
I'm not sure about that, but can we scroll down real quick before we have a few minutes, and I did type down what I was understanding. So I couldn't get that box in B1 to wrap. I'm sorry, I don't know how to do that. If someone knows how to get the text wrapping in that to be working, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so it sounded like, and this is kind of what I was understanding, for July, we fixed the TCKs and we fixed whatever we need to fix so that they can actually run on the Jakarta E10 platforms that we're working on. We take the opportunity to mark open tracing as this is something we're going to remove, and we call that MicroProfile 5.1. There are no features, but that's okay, because any features we add to that also add more work to be done. It sounds like some vendors don't want to do that. I know from my perspective, the more anemic 6 looks, that is not attractive. What that does, it puts us in the position that we can release MicroProfile 6 with the new features potentially. It sounds like maybe Roberto wouldn't like that idea, but something we should consider. Basically we need a 6 with some bang to it, in my opinion, because 5 had no bang. And I think it would be fine for there to be a 5.1 that enabled alignment, but save the bang for 6. What do people, and I don't know if October, November is the right time frame for 6, but in terms of marketing, that would be an attractive release.
No, I mean, that's exactly what I've been advocating.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
Sorry, just 30 seconds. It's just have a small release. I don't know if it's called 5.1 or 6 or whatever, but something that fixes Jakarta 10 issues, no other changes to make it as quick as possible, and to unlock runtimes that are pushing to 10 right now. And then all the other changes can go on top of this.
And I apologize for interrupting. This is I do have a hard stop here. I have to take off a little bit early. But Emily, can you kind of continue things along?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I'm sorry for interrupting. I don't know if it was Roberto still or David.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks, everyone.
It was Jan who wanted to say some words.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would disagree on that versioning, or agree to the statement of Roberto. It should be that what's marked as 5.1 should be 6.0, because we have a breaking change behind the scenes from Jakarta EE 9.1 compatibility to Jakarta EE 10. And that is a breaking change because even if the microprofile specifications don't have these breaks, the user applications for sure will have these breaks, and users should be aware of that. And maybe then the next release could be a 6.1 where we add additional stuff, not breaking changes.
We don't necessarily need to drop our support for Jakarta EE9. We could simply say that you could use EE9 or 10.
So
I believe that's not possible.
I'll ask a question in a different way. Forget about versioning for now. Think only about like this release should contain this content and this other release should contain this other content, and then we'll figure out what all going to be the versioning scheme.
I agree.
So I think it's kind of we have to agree on disagreement. So I just feel like this A1, if you do like 5.1, so what message you're going to send? Is it okay, the Jakarta EE10 alignment, wherever like dependencies are not changing to Jakarta EE10, this is a kind of still a Jakarta EE 9.1. This could be done by the kind of implementations, like implementation can just take this, because this other spec is no change, right? Just a TCK change. Maybe there's no change whatsoever. is why don't we get like implementations, just like try it out. If they find out, okay, currently it doesn't run with the Jakarta E10, just raise the issue and get it like fixed. And then the individual spec can do a kind of release and etc. But at the moment, is kind of I feel this is really confusing. And then unnecessarily pushing this change all to the later date.
There might be spec releases in there. I mean, there probably would be. So any spec that has to rewrite their tests to work on Jakarta E10 would need to have a release in there. So what was the example of a spec that didn't work on Jakarta E10?
So it's
okay, so there would need to be a config release in B, in column B.
Yeah, so so what I mean is that I think we discussed in the last technical call, if the test reworked, so it's basically use use the implementation and then they work with both Jakarta E 9.1 and Jakarta E10. And then is I don't see this is kind of the significant enough to call the whole release. If it's just like there's a config, a few TCP changes, and then you could even like could open a challenge and etc. And also rework the test to make sure it works with both.
Yeah, but you can't do any of that on a service release. We would require a release.
So it's basically you can challenge it to say have this testing excluded at least. We say okay, excluded, and then kind of have the next release to be included in the next platform release. I feel this is kind of the overdone.
Yeah, I don't believe that if someone walked up to a project, if someone walked up to config and said, you know, yeah, it works on Jakarta E9, which is what's mentioned in the spec. We're trying to work on Jakarta E10 and it doesn't work on Jakarta E10 because Jakarta E10 is different. My response would be, that's Jakarta E10's problem.
No, it's a kind of that's the kind of the one of the response. The other response is kind of the team saying, okay, so it's let's rework the test, or in the meanwhile have this test excluded if you are running on Jakarta E10, and then it's kind of we're going to release another version, a TCK. So I just feel this is kind of the certification thing. I don't feel this is kind of warranty the whole release. If it's just like a few TCK changes and then we just go through and then to do a release just for that.
You know, we don't know if there's only a few TCK changes because right now we don't have a runtime that's able to run 10 with all the MicroProfile TCKs. It can be a few, it can be a bunch.
Yeah, why don't we?
Right.
Why don't we get them all fixed when we do the like a Jakarta E10 alignment? So basically, that's a part of the exercise. I don't see the benefit of going in two stages. It's just this is saying okay, we feel this could work, and then it's kind of in the API dependencies is still depend on Jakarta 9.1. Also say okay, we feel this should work with Jakarta E10. I just feel let's just do kind of the 5.1, we do all the change, and 6.0, that's focus on E10. So is any TCK not working and fix it and get it working on E10. So that's, yeah. By the way, we are like 3 minutes
yes.
over time.
4 minutes. We
Yeah,
need to end the call.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up and continue the conversation offline. And then I think we need to like maybe do one more try next week, and then we just conclude next week, and then maybe we will start like list all the options. I think okay, I will volunteer to create a Google Doc and list all the options with the cons and pros, and then it's kind of the just head towards the voting. I think we will discuss again next week, and then we vote. I don't think probably we won't be able to reach a conclusion. If we couldn't, at least we know what options there are, and then we can vote. Okay, thank you all for the kind of the call, and talk to you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Really good call.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.